Hey everyone, it's Nikki from the Sicilian Scholars, and welcome to another review of a psychological horror film called Vicious. It came out in 2025. It is currently streaming on Paramount Plus. It is by Paramount Pictures. It's a horror supernatural film directed by Brian Bertino. It's an hour and 45 minutes, and the production company is Atlas Entertainment. Polly is a 32-year-old woman who lives alone, who lives, I was going to say by herself, who lives alone. And it seems like she is trying to straighten up her life by the phone call, by the conversation she has with her mother. And she might have had a few rough years, and now she's trying to get herself back on track. Her mother, from the conversation, doesn't really seem that supportive of her. So we don't know the complete background of Polly. And I think throughout the film, we kind of get Polly's history. But before I go into my review itself, I want to say that I do like the way that they did this. They didn't go all the way back into Polly's past and do all of that. They kind of let you understand her past by the present. So, as I was saying, Polly lives home alone and she gets a knock on her door. At Polly's doorstep is this woman. And she asks Polly if a certain somebody lives at that house, and Polly says no. And then the lady becomes kind of confused and distraught. So, feeling bad for the lady, she invites her into the house. While Polly is going to get this lady a glass of water, the lady makes it over to Polly's couch, and what we see is that her hand is bandaged and bloody, and she only has not only she has two fingers missing from that hand, and that will play a part into the film much later down the line. So Polly gets back with a glass of water, and they have a simple conversation. Then the lady pulls out a box and places it on Polly's coffee table, as you can see here in the image. And she tells, inside the box, she pulls out an hourglass with the sand going through it. And she tells Polly she is going to die that night unless she does three things. Polly, feeling uneasy, she tells the lady that she should leave, and she escorts the woman out. At Polly's doorstep is this woman. And she asks Polly if a certain somebody lives at that house, and Polly says no. And then the lady becomes kind of confused and distraught. So, feeling bad for the lady, she invites her into the house. While on the phone with her mother, because she calls her mother to tell her the weird thing that happened, and while on the phone with her mother, she goes to the window to see if the lady has left, and she has. But what Polly doesn't know, but we'll learn later that night, is that the lady had left the box on Polly's coffee table. So later that night, as I mentioned, while she's on the phone with her mother, she finds the box on her coffee table. And right after that, the woman on the phone tells Polly that she is not her mother. And the person on the phone keeps referring to we, meaning her and other people, are involved or around or something. But the woman that's not her mother, she's not alone, and there's other people involved in whatever is going on. And then Polly is told she has to put three things in the box: something she hates, something she needs, and something she loves. Obviously, very concerned and very scared, Polly goes to her next door neighbor to see if she might have witnessed something, and she asks if she can come in and use her phone. The neighbor is very hesitant in allowing Polly into her house, but Polly is able to convince her to let her come in. And while they're in there, Polly is telling her story of what happened that night. And then that's when things get really weird. And as the movie says, it gets vicious. And Polly witnesses something really horrific while in the kitchen with a woman. And from there, things just keep going. Just worst after worst, just bad after bad after bad. It just progresses. I really enjoyed this film. I really enjoyed this film. I find the slow burn that it did. Now, some movies, some horror films, really good psychological horror films, which are the type of horrors I absolutely enjoy. The slow burn is what makes the movie because you are left guessing what is going on. What is the purpose of Polly having to put these three items in this box? And I should mention that she doesn't put the three items in the box at once. She does it one at a time. But each time she puts something in the box, something horrific happens. And this is where we're trying to figure out what's going on. As I mentioned, the woman tells her that she's not her mother, and she kept referring to we. And then the next thing you know, Polly gets a phone call from her father, and she's trying to tell him what's going on, and he's not really understanding things. And it just makes things very, even more frustrating for Polly because she doesn't have anybody she can confine in, not really confine in, but tell them what's going on in hopes that they can help her. And also, as I mentioned, after the incident with the lady in the kitchen and things getting worse, it's where we have to figure out what is the meaning behind all of this. Why is this supernatural? I don't know if it's called an entity, but I don't know why this supernatural, I'm going to call it a demon, is after Polly. And does her past have to do with anything that is going on with her right now? Which I think it does. And as I mentioned, the movie does explain that, but it explains it as things move along. And that's another thing I enjoyed it. I believe I said it earlier that I don't like things that want to go back to the past, show things from the past, and then take you back to the present. I like things to have us think. I like to think, and I believe that's why I like psychological horror films is because we have to figure things out ourselves. And this film will make you figure things out yourself and come to your own conclusion of the reason for Polly experiencing these horrific things as they get more and more horrific, or as the title of the movie says, gets more vicious. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you have seen the movie, please let me know. I'd like to know your thoughts on it. As always, please keep it spoiler free for others, and we'll go from there. I do appreciate you stopping by as always. And as I always say, and I just said that twice, please have a good morning, a good afternoon, or a good evening. It all depends on where you are. Ciao.